In this series of videos, we're looking at Renishaw's Productivity Plus Active Editor Pro software. Active Editor Pro is a Windows-based application that's designed for the programming of Renishaw's spindle probes and tool setters. Its primary purpose is for the setting up of parts and tools prior to the manufacturing process, but can also be used to help control that process while it's running. So last video we looked at the import of a solid model. So this time around we're going to now look at how we can set the work coordinate systems. So as we see, we have our model in from last time. If we go to the UI, next to our solid models button, we have a coordinate systems button. So if I click on that, that will give us this dialog. So this is our coordinate system manager. We'll always have one coordinate system in here. There's always got one that's set up, and at the moment we have that set to that location on our part at 000. Before we look at any of these buttons on here, I'm going to double click on that because there's some information here we might want to set. So this very first setting allows us to choose our post processor. So we'll come back to that in a minute. The second setting here is where we actually have our designation for the coordinate system. So in this case, it shows #1. So it's the first one in our list. Now we can keep it at #1. That means that this program is kind of universal. We could tailor it to a FANUC control and call it G54, or if we were on an Akuma, maybe it would be G15H1. But by having it as #0, that means this program can then be used no matter what the control type. Of course, I could tailor it to this specific machine. In this case, it's a FANUC, so I might say G54. And actually, if we come back to that first setting, if I select my post processor up front to begin with, that also means we can then use this ellipsis button, and that will give you the list of coordinate systems that are available for this particular machine tool. So as we can see here, number 1, G54. So there's lots of different ways you can program that. So we've given it its designation. Now what this means is it means this program is going to work in G54, and this also means that when I generate the program, G54 is going to be outputting it to make sure the machine is in that work offset. Now it might be that this program is being called as a sub-program, and maybe your main program, your cutting program, might be the one that's going to determine which coordinate system we're working in. So an example of that could be if you've got a plate made up of multiple parts, all identical, the main program might set the first one as G54, then you run your probing program, come back to your main program, set the second one as G55, and so on. So that means you can have a generic probing program and allow a different program to determine which work coordinate system is active. So if you want to do that, you can flick this switch here that says Use Active Work Coordinate System. That means we will not output the G54 in this program. We will not output any work coordinate system in the program. We'll allow a main program to determine that. So that's how we can get around that situation where you want to use the Productivity Plus program in a generic way across multiple work offsets. So more commonly though, we are going to be working in a fixed work offset, so we can leave it as that, and I'm going to hit OK. So that's the work offset we've got. We have our single one. We can add some more, so if I hit this plus symbol here, that's instantly put another one in that same location. Now I can double click on it, and I can maybe call this #2, or select from the list maybe G55, whatever I want to do. And now I want to position that coordinate system in another location. So using this button here, this will open this dialog, and now as I move the mouse around the solid model, I can pick various geometry to determine that position. So let's say, for example, we're going to pick the top and center point of that circle there. So that we have this ghost image of the coordinate system now. If I hit OK, that confirms it, and now we have set our coordinate system to position. Other features we have is the ability to delete out a coordinate system from the list, or we can actually duplicate some of the information and the selected coordinate system we have at the time there. At any point, I can hit this tick, and that's going to set the coordinate system as the default one that we're going to program with. Some of the other elements in here relate more to multi-axis functionality, so we will cover that in another video. So if I close this dialog, if I do want to switch coordinate system in the middle of programming and I don't want to have to open that dialog up again, we can actually go down to this bottom right-hand corner here and choose the coordinate system that we want to work in. Okay, so that's coordinate systems covered. If you'd like more information, please visit www.renishaw.com/productivity plus.